Continue our primary coverage here. Joining us now to talk about what we can expect is Wes Renfro, a professor of political science, associate dean in the College of Arts and Sciences at Quinnipiac. Wes, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
It's a big day here, but obviously not as big as Election Day, and we see that every time primary day comes around when it comes to voter turnout. Never as high as Election Day, but how's it looking so far today, and what are your predictions?
Yeah, so I think turnout is going to be quite low on average. In off-season years, we're in the low to mid-20s, but given the very inclement weather, the lack of excitement at the top of many of these races, and also I think some folks are concerned about COVID numbers right now. Some older folks who are oftentimes likely to vote may stay at home, so I think we're going to see low turnout.
And we do have some issues, though, right, that people are going to be voting on. What are some of those issues that voters are going to be turning out for?
I think for a lot of people, it's bread and butter issues. Everything is getting more expensive. There is fear of a recession. We may be in a technical recession already. And so I think that there's a lot of concern about economics for voters and for households, sort of kitchen table discussions. I think there's another pocket of voters, not mutually exclusive, who are concerned about the direction of the country, in particular preserving abortion rights. But I think that's of limited utility in Connecticut, where it's very clear that those rights are not threatened. So I don't think we're replicating the sort of level of excitement that we saw in Kansas earlier this week, for example.
Primary day comes around and you're always talking about statewide politics, but there are some overlaps with national politics. Last night we saw the FBI raid President Trump's home, Mar-a-Lago. Same night, by the way, that he gets on the phone and supports Leora Levy in a tele-rally. What effect do you think his support is going to have for her success tonight or earlier today? But also, what effect do you think that raid might have when it comes to Leora Levy's support or lack of support?
So I think this is one of the more interesting races because it may be a microcosm of where the Republican Party stands.
Sure.
Because we have two Republicans. One of them is cut from, at least recently, a very pro-Trump cloth, and the other candidate is swinging in a much more moderate, more conventional GOP direction. And so how Connecticut GOP voters break tonight may give us some insight into future upcoming races. I'm not entirely sure that the raid on Mar-a-Lago is going to have a lot of effect. I think that people, even Republicans by this point, have seen a lot of the Trump show and they know where they stand. So I'm not convinced that it's going to move many people, but certainly it may move some.
Yeah, I know that that's kind of something we're seeing across the board, right? Across all America, exactly like how this plays out in Connecticut. It's going to play out in other elections too. Do you have any early predictions for tonight? Anything?
Predictions are notoriously tricky. I do think that Themis is going to win probably the most exciting race of the night. I feel fairly confident there, but we'll see.
All right, thank you. And he'll be joining us all evening long too, breaking it all down. Thank you for your insight.
Appreciate it.